Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl is actually pretty dang fun. This won't be a super in-depth review, but I wanted to share my thoughts on it so far because I can't stop thinking about it. It's basically a Super Smash Bros. Clone, except it features Nickelodeon characters. The core gameplay is actually really fun, but there are so many things that hold it back. It's hard to say if I recommend it or not, because that price point of $50 is pretty steep. At least it was on sale for only $40 for its first few days. I should mention real quick that I got this on Steam. I'll get a physical copy for the collection later as they become cheap. So the game is a platform fighter that has the characters battling in a 2D space. They can all double jump and have a variety of moves. Using these moves, they can rack up the opponent's damage. As their damage goes up, the characters will receive more knockback from attacks. This is sounding familiar, isn't it? Well, here's where the game gets at least a little different from Smash Bros. The characters have 3 separate move types: strong, weak, and special. This will be somewhat similar between characters. All these moves should just be kind of punching, kicking, spinning a circle, basic moves like that. Each character has a normal, an up, and a down weak attack. I guess these sort of line up with Smash Bros. Tilts, but these can also be used in the air. Depending on the character, this will change the move up a bit. There's also a weak dash attack. Up next are the strong attacks, which kind of align up with the Smash Bros. Smash attacks. However, there are some neat differences in here. These should be used when your opponent's damage is high to try to secure that knockout. These moves will do much more damage and knockback than weak attacks, but they will usually be more laggy and punishable. Each character has a normal, up, and down one again. Just like weak attacks, these can also be used in the air, which I actually really like. It's nice to have strong attacks in the air. I won't lie though, a lot of the air ones are very similar or even identical to the ground strong attack. It's still neat though. I should also mention that strong attacks can deflect projectiles. Just like the weak attacks, a strong dash attack also exists. The last type of attack in the game is the special attack. These are where the characters start to really get different from one another. There is an up special, which is usually reserved for triple jumps, a neutral special, which is usually reserved for a projectile. For example, SpongeBob blows a bubble, meanwhile, Reptar will shoot out a fireball. This isn't always the case though, as Patrick has a command grab for his neutral. The final special move is the down special, which really has no rules. Reptar shoots fire at the ground that does 30 damage for some stupid reason, and Zim shoots out a lawn gnome. Between these moves, the characters in the game have around 18-ish moves each. This is a pretty decent number in my opinion. Lastly, characters can also use their grabs. Every character will do a Donkey Kong-like cargo carry, which will allow them to run around with them on top of their head. Unfortunately, the grabs themselves look weird and kind of lame, and they all feel way too similar. One can throw the opponent up, down, or forward, but every character's throw animation looks and feels the same. It should be noted that characters can grab projectiles, which is fun, I guess. Now if we're talking dodging options, there aren't any really. There's a shield, which brings in a neat mechanic. If one is using their shield and gets pushed to the edge of the stage, they'll be stunned for a bit. If one can perfect shield an attack, they'll be able to attack sooner as well. The shield isn't too busted, as characters can be grabbed out of them too. There are no spot dodgers or rolling dodgers or even air dodges. However, if one tries to do an air dodge, something neat will happen. Wave dashing is in this game. That is pretty awesome. When pressing the shield button in the air, along with the direction, the character will get a burst of speed in that direction. There are no invincibility frames to speak of, but it is very nice for movement. The game feels fast and so clean in the air, I'm not gonna lie. I've already seen people pull off impressive melee-like combos. Unfortunately, the movement on the ground feels kind of lackluster, especially in comparison. Pulling off those bread and butter combos in the air though, that certainly feels nice as hell. Let's get into the roster real quick. There are only 20 characters in the game. Listen, I get that developing a game like this is pretty difficult, especially considering the fact that Nickelodeon gave Ludicity a budget of 5 sticks of bubblegum, but they priced the game at $50. We're nearing AAA pricing here, so to only see 20 characters here, that's a bit disappointing. SpongeBob, Patrick, and Sandy, all from the SpongeBob franchise. Aang and Toph, representatives for Avatar The Last Airbender. The Loud House has Lincoln and Lucy Loud. Ren and Stimpy appear alongside Powder Toast Man. Leonardo, Michelangelo, and April all appear for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The other characters that appear are Oblina, CatDog, Danny Phantom, Helga, Invader Zim, Korra, Reptar, and of course, Nigel Thornberry. There are some glaring omissions, such as Timmy Turner and Jimmy Neutron, but this isn't a horrible base roster. I personally think it has a good mix of new and old Nickelodeon favorites. A few more characters really would have been nice though, I think it would have went a long way. I'd argue that the characters feel somewhat distinct, but not nearly as much as some other fighting games. It's nice to have, say, Reptar, a heavyweight, compared to someone like SpongeBob, who's a great all-around character. Patrick has a unique ability of just being terrible. CatDog has a fun gimmick of switching which side predominantly attacks with a down special. It's neat seeing both Aang and Toph use their bending abilities for their attacks. The online is pretty damn good. Literally 100 times better than Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, which is super pathetic because that game is developed by a multi-billion-dollar corporation and has sold nearly 25 million units. That's not to mention that one has to pay for the abysmally terrible Nintendo Switch Online if they want to play online. Listen, my internet's not the best, but this game is still somehow pretty dang smooth online. When I disconnected from my horrible Wi-Fi in my house and used my hotspot instead, it got even better. There were some slower, more laggy matches, sure, but it was certainly playable. At worst, it was still better than Smash Ultimates. There will be two options when you want to play online. There is competitive, and there is quick play. The big difference between the two is that competitive gives the player a rank based on wins and losses. The other big difference is the fact that only no-nonsense stages can be selected in a competitive. For real though, I could barely play like 2 matches of Ultimate before my ass gets booted back to the main menu. The game really feels like it was made for the hardcore players. It's lightning fast, melee-like mechanics, as well as having robust online play. Here is the problem with that though. The game lacks literally everything else. The number of modes on display is pathetic. There's arcade mode, which really just has the player battle 8 CPUs, then boom, you're done. No need distractions along the way, and I'm pretty sure there's no theme going on either. To my knowledge and testing, as I ran through with a few characters, there is nothing distinct that would make like a SpongeBob run different than a Reptar run. Maybe besides those damn speech bubble conversations at the beginning of every match. Man, these just feel so out of place and cheap. The rewards for completing these almost makes it seem like not worth doing either. Usually the player will get some artwork or just something along those lines. One can do timed mode or stock mode, which is pretty typical and what one should expect. There's also a sports mode that I really don't want to get into it as it's just kind of dumb. Maybe if the boys and I all get super drunk, this will provide some amusement, but until that happens, I'll pass on it. There are no items at all, which is a bummer. I love treating Super Smash Bros. Ultimate as an intense game at times, but I also love treating it as a goofy one too. My brother and I will turn on all explosive items in 8-player Smash and just blow each other up. Unfortunately, really no antics like that can be pulled off in this game. The stages themselves are really only okay at best. A lot of them are pretty standard, which I actually kind of like. I think it's good to have a few basic, no gimmick, no nonsense stages in the game. It's nice to have the option of a few because they all come with different scenery and music. Jellyfish Fields has to be my favorite no nonsense stage because that music slaps. I also love seeing little Gary climb around the rocks. Some of the hectic ones though are simply not fun. Like one of the Ren and Stimpy ones is just goddamn terrible. There is shit flying around everywhere. It's hard to just jump around and not die, let alone fight other people. I like the opposite Ren and Stimpy one though. The one that takes place in the kitchen counter. It's pretty fun. The players can sink in the soup and the milk and the cereal. The toast in the toaster can pop up and hit the enemy. There's also a frying pan at the side that will burn players if stepped on. Biggest sin of the game might be the fact that there's no voice acting. And I mean 0 voice acting among the characters. There's the announcer, of course, but man, when fighting, all that you hear are punches and other attacks being thrown out. Not even grunts or anything. There are a few great music tracks, but come on, man. This is a game based on Nickelodeon properties. The music selection could have been so much better. The lack of fan service, in general, is kind of off-putting. This should be one of the biggest selling points. Instead, though, it's one of the biggest complaints. Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl was a game that I was not expecting. It is great fun for the competitive players, but it actually lacks modes for the casual crowd. If anything, I really expected the opposite. I thought they would have gone ham with some stupid modes to keep the kids entertained, but have nothing for the hardcore crowd. There's actual depth here, which is very neat. It has a great skill level where it's pretty easy to learn, but hard to master. As I've said before, it has some pretty nasty combos already. The online is pretty dang responsive too, which is great. I'm not going to give it a grade yet because Ludicity is still working on the game. In my time of working on this video, they already fixed an infinite that Sandy had. I'll probably give it a 5 based on the current build, because it is a fun game overall, but that price tag is high, and I've already spent a good minute talking about some of the game's other faults. If they continue to work on this game, it can be genuinely great. I heard them say that DLC is on the table if the game sells well enough. Throw in a few more characters, items in general, modes, and add in voice acting, and this game could be genuinely great. It sucks seeing the Nintendo's comments of, "Just play Smash," or something along those lines. How do you lick the boot of a billion-dollar corporation so hard, man? It's just pathetic. If one likes platform fighters and doesn't mind the admittedly high price tag for what it is, I'd personally say go for it, especially if one likes playing online. That is where this game shines the most.